Welcome back to Nourished. I'm Chef Kimber Dean, and today we're going to do a special episode with all of my favorite pumpkin treats. So we're going to make a pumpkin log, a vegan one, and a vegan pumpkin cheesecake. Both of these sell amazing at Nourished during the holidays, and they both are from Happy Baking and Desserts cookbook. So we're going to start first by, of course, making our vegan egg like we do with most of the baking stuff I make. We have our flax meal. Again, you can use a chia egg if you want. Same ratio, flax to water would be chia to water. You're just gonna have that pop when you have the chia seeds. So both of them are full of omega-3s for your brain. It's just gonna be a different texture when you're baking. So that will stir a couple times before we add it in. And then we have our pumpkin puree. There's a couple things you could do with this. You could change it to sweet potato puree. We could make our own pumpkin puree if you wanted to. We actually last year got some pumpkin from the farmer's market. I roasted it, made it into puree, and then we served this same pumpkin log at the Columbia farmer's market at a demo last season. So that was really fun. I had my 1-year-old tied on to me. So we're gonna just take our pumpkin, toss it in here to our dry ingredients. And I'll show you those guys. So our dry ingredients, we have our brown rice flour, arrowroot starch. We make our own baking powder, baking soda, sea salt, coconut sugar for this cake, and then our pumpkin spice we also make from scratch. So we do cinnamon, ginger, clove, nutmeg, and allspice. We're just gonna stir this guy one more time because we want that to start turning into the egg and getting nice and thick. So that's gonna be our binder. Our vegan eggs that we like to make when we're baking a lot of baked goods traditionally have eggs, and eggs are used as binders. It doesn't matter if it's an egg white or an egg yolk, that is the binder of the baked dish, especially when it's like a bread, a cake, a muffin, a quick bread, things like that, cookies. So with our vegan eggs, I am asked a lot at our restaurant to take things that have eggs and make them vegan, whether it be someone like my business partner found out her whole family, her husband, her son, and herself were allergic to eggs. So she's always encouraging things without eggs. And I actually found out that my 4-year-old was allergic to eggs last year. And when we took them out, the rash up her back went away. So when we make an egg, a vegan egg, it's the flax meal and water, and they're made differently. Sometimes they are a 1-to-1 ratio or a 1-to-2 ratio, but we just want to get it to the consistency for that cake or bread. This one we wanted a little bit more light and airy, so there's a lot more water than flax meal. Vegan eggs are also really heavy, so traditionally if I do add something that normally has eggs and I want to put a vegan egg in, I might add a little bit more leavening agent like a baking powder, baking soda, or yeast. So yeah, that's how we make our vegan eggs, and they're great. I have the ratios in the back of my cookbook, Happy Baking and Desserts, so if you ever want to look there at some of the info I give you. Right. So we're gonna take our whisk and just start whisking it together. Just think of a traditional cake box. You wanna just throw everything in and start to mix it all up. It will be pretty moist, and that's good because it's easier to spread that way. Ooh, smells so good already. So that is the perfect consistency there. Smells like the holidays. And the whisk is great because it just helps that coconut oil break down and incorporate that flax meal, the egg, get in there. All right. We're gonna take our spatula. I have a prepared pan here. So it's just a traditional 13x9 that you would have at your house that would fit in your oven. Some parchment paper. We always use eco-friendly. And I do spray it down with your favorite pan spray, coconut, avocado, olive, whatever works for you and your family. Okay. So just dump that cake out. And then you could use any sort of spatula that works for you. I've made so many of these, I can really get it flat with anything here. So you just want it to be nice and even. So you don't want the edges to be thicker than the middle or vice versa, the middle thicker than the edges, because they won't cook at the same time. So something may be raw or something may burn. You just want to spread it as much as you can. Oh, this is so perfect. and then trying to get that rectangle shape. So if you wanted it nice and thin, you could spread it all the way out to the edges, the corners, that's totally fine. Paper's tricking me. I'm just gonna get it to the same thickness all the way around. Cool, and that is that. And then we're gonna throw it in the oven. So I have my oven preheated to 350 degrees. I'm gonna throw it in for about 15, maybe 18 minutes, just until it's cooked all the way through, and then I'll show you how we roll it up. All right, so our pumpkin log turned out perfect. That's the perfect height, the perfect texture, and it's nice and fluffy where it needs to be. So we're just gonna get a clean towel, place it over the top, and then take a clean pan that's the same size. Hopefully you have one. If not, you can get creative, right? And then we just flip it, kind of give it a little bang so that it comes right out. That pan is hot. Then we're gonna just peel the paper back. Look at that steam come off. I'm gonna turn it towards us, and then I just take my towel, kind of wrap it in one time, and then we're gonna roll it up like a sleeping bag. So just go ahead and roll it up, and I put it right back on that pan that we used, and from there I'm gonna walk it into the walk-in refrigerator and let it start to cool. All right, so we let our pumpkin log cool in the refrigerator for a few hours so that it doesn't make the icing melt once we roll it into the log. From here, I have my arrowroot starch in my gargum. I have 6 ounces of coconut cream. I like to get the Thai Kitchen coconut cream because it's just coconut and gargum. I mix it in the can so that it's incorporated, or else if you get it, it separates between the cream and the coconut water. So just like mixing it, making it into that true cream. We have our vanilla coconut oil that's melted, and then some maple syrup. And we're just gonna toss all these in here. Again, you could use agave. If you're not vegan, you're welcome to use honey, just any sort of liquid sweetener you like. Vanilla. Then we have our coconut oil. And that's just gonna help it solidify too once it gets cold so that it stays in that cake shape. And then our gorgeous coconut cream. Does have a little bit of a coconut flavor to it, so if you don't like coconut, this might not be your favorite. You can always add extra vanilla or maple and try to make that flavor go away. And then we're gonna take our hand mixer and slowly start to incorporate that arrowroot starch. It's like a little party in the air. As you can see, once that arrowroot starch and gargum start to get incorporated, it definitely starts to get a little bit thicker, which is good because we don't want it to splute out the cake. We want it to stay nice and solid in there. There we go. Turn it up a little bit. That's perfect. Just kind of let that last bit of icing come off of these guys. All right, so we'll set that to the side. Go ahead and grab your pumpkin log. We can take it off of the tray. And then I like to roll the small end of the sleeping bag towards me. So it's just easier to roll up. So that's perfect right there. We're gonna take our spatula and just dump your icing onto this. You can get really playful with this and turn it different colors. Maybe you add turmeric and turn it yellow. You could add spirulina or matcha to turn it green. So just fun things like that. We've done beet powder before to turn it red. Perfect. And then I'm gonna grab my spatula and just gently start to take that over the cake. So we don't want to tear the cake at all. So it's just nice and gently spreading it. You want the center to have the majority of the icing because it will start to push it towards the edges. And then at the very top, you just want to lightly, almost like a crumb cake. You don't want to get the whole thing covered in icing. It's like the envelope seal, so we just want to do a tiny bit so that it'll seal our log. All right, perfect. From there, oh, can't leave any icing behind, right? All right. So from there, we're just gonna slowly start to roll it back up like our sleeping bag, the way the towel had it. It should roll right up for us. A little bit stuck on there. Perfect. And then if you want to look towards the side, we have that lovely cake with the icing. And then we'll get it ready to serve up. All right, so we got our pumpkin log ready to serve up. Normally, I would like to cut off the ends, which is what we always do here at Nourish, and then we just share those little scraps with each other. So that way the ends look a lot more pretty for presentation if you're gonna serve it whole. Perfect. So you can see that side too. And then we usually cut 6 slices and we sell them that way here at our restaurant. You really could do as many slices as you want. I'm just gonna cut 1 log here at the end for me. All right. So that looks so, so good. Ah, love it. Of course I'm gonna dig in. So you can see all the layers here. With all of the icings. Oh, that was so good. And it just makes this perfect cake. And it's so great that it's vegan. It's really hard to find something like this vegan. And I also have a chocolate recipe in my cookbook where I use avocado as the base instead of pumpkin. So just another fun pumpkin treat to share with your friends and family during the holidays. Alrighty, so now we're gonna start our pumpkin cheesecake. We're gonna make our crust and then we're gonna make our filling. With our crust, we're gonna use some almond meal. We actually make our own here with our almond milk and then we keep it, bake it, blend it, and turn it into our own almond flour. I have a pinch of sea salt and just a little bit of cinnamon because I like that flavor in the crust. From there, we like to add maca. I added maca to all of our dessert crusts. It's great for hormone imbalance. It also helps with libido and has a lot of B vitamins. It's also an adaptogen. And then we have our maple syrup. We have a little bit of almond butter. This is all just getting those wet ingredients in there so that it can become a dough, just a lot easier to turn into that crust we want to press. And then we have our melted coconut oil. So the coconut oil, we use that. It's really hard to use any other oil that's vegan because this solidifies once it gets cold. So that makes it a lot easier for it to be a crust and not break apart when we make our cheesecake. All right. And I love using my hands for this. So you could use a spatula or a spoon. We're gonna use our hands anyway to press it into our pan. There you go. So easy to make. This is actually also a paleo recipe, so if you want to be paleo vegan, this is perfect for you. And then we have our 10-inch spring pan. Spring pans are great because they're easier to get the cheesecake out of. If you only have a pie tin, that's okay too. They just might be a little tricky to get out of it. Right. So we're just gonna take our crust, start to press it down. And again, we just want those even layers as much as possible here. If you can't have almond meal, if you're allergic, coconut flour is another great one that keeps it paleo and vegan. All right. So if you just want to check that out. Just a nice pressed crust there. And then I'm gonna throw this in our refrigerator behind me and let this start to get hard while we start our next project. So we're gonna start our next project now. We're gonna work on our pumpkin cheesecake filling. I started soaking some cashews yesterday so that they'd be nice and soft today. So overnight, 24 hours is the longest you wanna do it. If we ever soak our cashews for longer than that, they get really gelatinous and they don't taste good and they get sour really quick. So we're just gonna let that drain. Then I have some coconut oil that's been melted, mostly just from the heat in our kitchen because it gets so hot with our ovens. And then we have our maple syrup. From here, we have our pumpkin puree. We like to use a brand that doesn't have BPA and the liner is organic. So for this particular cheesecake, try not to have your pumpkin puree or your cashews cold. If you're gonna soak them overnight and leave them in the fridge, maybe take them out for an hour or two. Anything that's cold is gonna take that coconut oil and solidify it. It's gonna be super hard to blend. So these have been out for about an hour just to get them back up to room temperature. All right, so just dump these in here. So easy, only 4 ingredients. All right. Place our lid on. This one we are gonna have to assist and help it a little bit for the blending. Alrighty, so you just want to check this out. You can see how creamy and smooth it is. Oh, it looks so good. So we can see that there. No big chunks. We want it to look nice and creamy. All right, so I grabbed my crust from my fridge. I let that coconut oil start to settle and set so that it will bind to this cheesecake really well. And then we're just gonna pour, oh, so silky smooth. Pour that over the top. Perfect. And there we go. Just wipe off those sides. And from here, we just throw it in the fridge and we're gonna let it set for about 2 to 4 hours so that it can be nice and smooth and solidified for when your guests arrive, or you can eat the whole thing by yourself. All right, so it's been about 4 hours. We let our pumpkin cheesecake set. Now I'm going to gently take off the spring pan, the sides. So we just open it up here. Ooh, it looks so good. All right, and then we'll just slice a piece off here. Look how beautiful that turned out. The tip of my knife didn't get all the way through, but that's okay. So that's the perfect slice right there. It'd be nice to do like some sort of drizzle on top, maybe chocolate, maybe a caramel sauce would be good, but this is so good by itself too. So from here, I'm gonna take a bite because it looks too good not to. I'm gonna leave that piece and get some crust. All right. That was good. So it's really good. It's nice and creamy, even with the cashews, not using any cream cheese in this. It is really filling with all of those nutrients from the cashews to the pumpkin, which has all that beta carotene and all the fibers. So this is a great dessert if you're trying to keep it healthy and light at the same time. All right, so today we got to make our yummy pumpkin log cake with the icing in the middle. We also made our pumpkin cheesecake. Both are vegan. The cheesecake is paleo compliant as well. Love both of these during the holidays with my family. We sell pumpkin logs like crazy here at Nourish. We actually started this month and it's just been continually growing for us. The pumpkin cheesecake is great too. It's great if you want to add like a caramel sauce on top, or I know I did 4 really easy ingredients for the filling. You could also add some pumpkin spice if you wanted a little bit more seasonal spice in there. So yeah, these are some great pumpkin options if you're trying to keep dessert light and healthy for your family and friends. So if you'd like these recipes, check out my cookbook at Happy Baking and Desserts. Happy Food Cookbook is my first cookbook as well if you like these recipes. or you can check out these just being made at Nourish Cafe and Market throughout this season. You can find me at Chef Kimberdine or at Nourish Cafe and Market on Facebook, Instagram, or online at our websites. And don't forget to nourish from the inside out.